Hey guys, sorry it took me so long to get this video out. It's Mother's Day and all. I took a little bit of time off for the family, so hope you're not too angry. And if you are, shut up. It's my channel. Anyway, for those of you who didn't know, I asked on Twitter one of two things that I should do this week for a video. Well, I didn't get too many responses, but the responses I did get were overwhelmingly towards one of the items. What was the item that people wanted me to cover? Mazes and Monsters, the 1982 movie starring Tom Hanks about how Dungeons and Dragons will make you go crazy and it's the devil. Yeah, made for TV. Good quality. So, let's check it out, see how it goes. Ooh. Oh. So, this film is Mazes and Monsters, the 1982 movie that covers basically Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, not Dungeons and Dragons. They're not getting sued. It's totally not Dungeons and Dragons. It's Mazes and Monsters. Totally different thing. This movie's very odd. It opens with what appears to be a post-tragedy interview by a very confused news anchor and a whole lot of police around.
This is Bud Hayden, live from Pequod campus, where I'll be reporting on the apparent disappearance of a Grant University student, the victim of a seemingly innocent game, Mazes and Monsters. Now, Mazes and Monsters is a fantasy role-playing game in which the players create an imaginary character. These characters are then plunged into a fantasy world of invented terrors. The point of the game is to amass a fortune without being killed. It's kind of a psychodrama, you might say, where these people deal with problems in their lives by acting them out. But in this case, there might be a loss of distinction between reality and fantasy, and possibly the loss of life in the process.
After the shock value of the opening scenes, we get to know the main players in the story. First, we start with JJ. JJ is basically Ducky from Pretty in Pink, only not nearly as fun or interesting or cool. He's a child prodigy. He's young, 16 years old, in college, always wears hats. Hilarious hats. He's funny. He's obviously the odd duck of the group. Hilarious. Hats. Hilarious hats. Kate, who, as far as I can tell, they just describe as the girl who writes. I don't know why we didn't get much background into her except for a short conversation with her mother where she divulges that she wants to be a writer. I don't understand. Just, she's the girl. That's all I got out of it. Daniel, who's apparently supposed to be the handsome one, he wants to program video games. His parents think it's unrealistic, and they don't think he'll ever have a good future programming video games. Silly parents. He's gonna make Halo. And finally, Tom Hanks, or Robbie. Robbie seems to be the most interesting character, and we get to see more of his background than anybody else. He has disapproving parents, and his father is constantly belittling his mother in front of him, calling her a drunk and everything else because it seems like they're a loving family.
I see another D, you don't see another check.
Oh, Hull, leave him alone.
And you've had too much to drink, again.
I guess. 80s love?
I hate it when you drink.
I drink to get through the day.
I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know why they are what they think they are, but the entire intro is just them belittling him and telling him not to play that game because he remembered what happened when he played that game before and never to touch that game again.
Robbie, you're starting new at Grant, all new. That means no more games. You know what it did to your marks at Tufts. This time you're going to concentrate on your schoolwork, do you hear?
Yeah, I know, Dad, I will.
Kate, Daniel, and JJ all play Dungeons and Mazes and Monsters. Mazes and Monsters. And they need a fourth member to round out the group so they continue their ongoing adventures from last semester. Robbie knows he shouldn't play, but after meeting Kate and the others at a party, he decides that he's going to join just so he can spend more time with Kate. I like to refer to Kate as a heartless hussy. Seems mean, right? But you'll see why. Just wait. Wait till the end of the video. You're going to agree with me. I promise you will. This friendship leads to the most intense Dungeons and Mazes and Monsters game I've ever seen. It's got candles. It's got multiple maps. There's darkness. People talking in low hushed tones. This is intense. It's a serious business. Robbie and Kate begin to form a relationship and they split off to go do couple stuff. And JJ, because he's a selfish, self-absorbed little brat, decides that he's not getting enough attention. So he decides to kill off his own character in the game so that he can take them to the next level.
Finally stumbled face to face with a dozen bloodthirsty undead.
Whoa!
However, between you and the evil undead is a deep pit, where at the very bottom you can see just a faint glitter. It could be a legendary treasure of the Generac, or it could be a trap.
Freelick jumps into the pit to gather the treasure. How much does Freelick get?
It's a trap.
No.
The pit is filled with sharp, gem-encrusted spikes. Freelick, the fanatic of Glossamere, is impaled and dies.
Part you save him. Use your power to raise the dead.
Well, I can't. I don't have enough points to raise the dead.
Oh, hell.
Aw, JJ, that was really stupid, jumping into the pit without using your sonar first. Really stupid. Why did you do that?
Hey, cheer up, JJ. You can start again as a new character.
Oh, it'll take him forever to gather power.
Well, I didn't kill him.
Did so.
You weren't paying attention.
Hey, let's not fight about it.
Right, so what are we gonna do now?
I'd like to propose a new game. Kind of an evolution of Mazes and Monsters, but we'd be playing at a much more sophisticated level.
We're not finished with this game yet.
Yes, but it's not the same without Freelick.
Before the next level shenanigans, we learn about Robbie's background a little bit more, and we find out that he has a very troubled past, and he blames himself for his brother's disappearance when he was younger.
I have an older brother. His name's Hall Jr. And about 3 years ago on his birthday, his Halloween night, my mother threw this big party for him. And in the middle of it, when nobody was paying attention, he ran away.
You're kidding.
We never got a letter, postcard, phone call, nothing. Like he disappeared right off the face of the earth. And I've always wondered what it was that happened to him.
JJ references that he wants to take the game to the next level, in a real setting. So what does he do? He makes them all LARP in a condemned cave. Why not? What could go wrong, right? Right? Condemned caves. It's a good place to hang out. Play in condemned caves, something good's bound to happen. In case you don't know what LARPing is, it stands for Live Action Role Playing Game. I'm going to give you a minute to Google that. That was plenty of time. If you didn't Google it, it's not my problem. I ain't stopping. Each player dresses the part of their character they've been playing for a while, and JJ acts as the maze controller. Basically, he stands above them on cliff faces and yells down random events that happen to each character. It's all very interesting. The game ends when Robbie, who happens to play a paladin, stabs a minotaur-looking creature in the cave, thus concluding the quest, I guess. I don't understand what the quest was, but he did it. He did it. Congratulations. But Robbie seems to be distant, and he seems to feel guilt for killing the imaginary creature. His friends continue to congratulate him for winning the quest, but Robbie seems to act strangely, and his friends couldn't care less, it seems.
Oh, Robbie, you were great. I just thought I was going to have a coronary occlusion or something. It was
JJ,
great.
that place is incredible. I was so scared. I love it.
Great, JJ, really.
What's wrong?
I'm a holy man. I never kill unless I cannot overcome the monster with reason or spells. I've got these to compensate for my lack of warlike skills.
Knock it off, Robbie. I loved it when Kate saw the skeleton and screamed.
Oh, I was so scared. Oh, JJ, I thought you mixed fantasy and reality perfectly.
In the following days, Robbie distances himself from the group and he starts behaving like a holy man. Like his character. He starts giving away his possessions and blessing random people on campus, I guess. He begins to have dreams that tell him that he needs to separate himself from his friends. He needs to seek out the underground city, the 2 towers, and the Great Hall. Robbie disappears one night during a party on a quest to complete his goal to find the Great Hall and the 2 towers. After Kate and Robbie separate due to Robbie's delusions, Kate decides what better way to make it better than to make out with Daniel, because that's how you should handle your friend falling into mental disrepair and depression. This is why she's a heartless hussy. You see what I was talking about earlier? Is your boyfriend slowly slipping away due to a bout of depression caused by a mental breakdown in your unraveling psyche? Better make out with his friend. That'll fix it. After Robbie's disappearance, the police get involved and of course jump to the obvious conclusion that one of the other players that plays Mazes and Monsters killed him.
What do you guys think happened?
One of the players Robbie played with got carried away and killed him.
Well, that's kind of far out.
Mazes and Monsters is a far-out game.
Because that's the most direct reason why he would disappear. Thanks, Barney Fife! When confronted, Robbie's friends tried to dance around the subject by using the old "a friend of a friend told me he once played that game" gag, and you know, that's all very beneficial to their friend who's missing and mentally ill. Good friends. Eventually, like a modern-day Scooby-Doo crew, the gang decides to go through all of Robbie's stuff until they can find something they think might make sense as to where he went. JJ seems to be the most helpful in this situation, as he sits around spewing out one-liners while his bird says inappropriate things to everybody who comes and goes. He also wears more hilarious hats. How could this not help the situation? With all this help aside, the gang still manages to figure the situation out by talking about Robbie's past and using maps that he's created in his room. Meanwhile, Robbie finds himself in a strange new place, where another Minotaur attempts to take his spells and he's forced to defend himself again with his dagger. You can see where that's probably a good thing for somebody who's mentally ill and run away from home, can't you? What could go wrong? Finally, during a moment of clarity, Robbie calls Kate and explains to her where he is and tells her he has no idea what happened. So the gang all packs up into a car and goes to find Robbie. After a few more interactions with the police and piecing a few more clues together to see if they could find Robbie, the gang has this really odd and unintentionally funny scene where they're going up and down elevators while Robbie's going the other way, and reminds me of Scooby-Doo for some reason. As a matter of fact, let me throw some music behind these and see if you get the idea. The ending is a shock, and I actually feel a little bit guilty about making fun of the rest of the movie because the ending is so intense. I don't mean intense in a good way, I mean it's depressing. It hurt my feelings. Literally, I wanted to cry. I'm a grown man and I wanted to cry. It was terribly made and also sad. It was two of the worst things put together ever. Now, if you don't want any spoilers, I recommend you turn your speakers down because I'm going to talk about a line at the end of the movie that makes it even more depressing and horrible than it already is, but it might also give the ending away. So if you don't want to hear this, turn your speakers down. We fade out with an inner monologue of the characters talking about the loss of a friend and the death of hope. The death of hope! Seriously, no hope. Abandon all hope, ye who enter. That kind of intense nonsense. From a movie that's trying to explain to me how Dungeons and Dragons or Mazes and Monsters or whatever it is gonna make me crazy and ruin my life. Thanks, made-for-TV movies. Thanks, Tom Hanks. Now I feel terrible about myself. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. This movie is a stereotype of all the cliches of 80s filmmaking. All the characters are simple, and they all fit into a specific stereotype. The writing is cheesy, and it's everything I would expect for a made-for-TV movie in the 80s. What's even more depressing is this is actually based on a true story, supposedly. But after doing some research, I found out that it was actually based on a botched news story. Yeah, a botched news story. It was basically the news trying to say, Dungeons and Dragons is gonna make your kid depressed and take him away from you. And somebody wrote a book about it, and then somebody picked that book up and made this movie out of it. Yeah, that's it. It's misinformation, all the way across. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hanging out in sewers. I'm not disappearing from my family. It all comes off and makes this movie seem really preachy and really self-important. It's very strange. The movie has a strange vibe the whole way through, and it's hard to even laugh at it when it's this really serious undertone to it, and some parts are pretty good because Tom Hanks is the actor and he's pretty good at making you believe he's this character, but everybody else is so terrible at what they're doing, and the music is so bad in this movie. It's terrible. I want to recommend this movie to you to watch it because it's so cheesy, but if you're gonna watch it, watch like the first 3 quarters and skip the ending because the ending just made me want to cry inside. I promise next week's video will come much more promptly and won't be nearly as depressing. If this is your first time here, I'm sorry that this is the first video of mine you saw. Maybe you'd like to try something a little bit more lighthearted. Like maybe, click up here and you can watch my Renegade video. Yeah, I did a video on Renegade for the NES. Silly nonsense. It was fun. Also, I had a handlebar mustache. Beard status it's coming back pretty nice. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. And while you're down there, check the description. I'm going to post a couple of my favorite fantasy-themed podcasts. Both are free and they're fun if you're on the go or if you have a commute to work. Check them out. Try listening to them. I'm not in either one of them. They're just things that I think are great. Don't forget to add me on Facebook and Twitter to keep track of all the new reviews that I'm doing. I do games, toys, comics, and any other general geekery that sparks my interest. So make sure you head on over to both, add me, like me, and check me out. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate anybody who takes the time out of their day to watch my videos, and if you leave me a like or a comment, as always, I will give you a high five the next time I see you, and that's good for life. Bye!